Now, there's a question that we're all asked very early in life, sometimes explicitly, sometimes without words. What do you want to be when you grow up? Now, we're asked this when we're 10, and back then, the answer is easy. Football player, singer, astronaut. The answer comes from desire, not from logic. There's no pressure yet, no expectations. In my case, I wanted to be a football player. To be honest, I was quite good at it, but I probably had incomplete information about how insanely difficult that path is. What I did know, for sure, was that my height, 170 on a good day, completely ruled out basketball. Then we're asked again at 15, and suddenly the question started to appear, the doubts. But yes, we still don't understand how the world works, right? But we're still kids. That's how it should be. And then we're asked again at 18, and suddenly the question feels heavier, almost dangerous, because now the answer feels like it has consequences, failing, choosing wrong, disappointing expectations. And very quickly, what do you want to be turns into what should you be? Now, when I was in my last year of high school, like many of you are today, I faced many situations such as the one where you pop up in the Christmas dinner and there's your uncle who's asking you, hey, no, what are you going to study next year? And you smile confidently while mentally screaming, I have no idea. Well, from that moment on, many of us start living between two forces, what we want and what we think that we should want. And the problem isn't just the pressure. The problem is that we're expected to want something without really knowing the options. Is it money? Is it status? Is it stability? Or there are external variables, all imposed. Now, I had a friend back in high school. He was the same age as me, and we grew up together. And he was one of those guys who was good at everything. He had good grades, he was confident, he was good at sports. I mean, he was even good with girls. And everybody around him, so his family, his teachers, his friends, we all knew that he was going to do something big. And he believed it too. And everything about his future seemed kind of obvious. I'll come back to the story later. Now, we live in a world with very clear definitions of success. Success looks like a prestigious career, a strong LinkedIn profile, and ideally, no doubts. Okay, ideally, no doubts. Now, social media makes this even clearer. You see, everybody is doing the right thing, everybody's confident, everybody chose right. But real life doesn't really look like that, right? Most of the people that I meet, both students and professionals, they're not wrong, but they're kind of conflicted. You know, everybody's doing the right thing, but constantly asking themselves if it's the right thing. The people that I see, and here I include myself, we all live in autopilot. Monday to Friday, work. Living for the weekend, always in a rush. And I'm not saying this to criticize anyone. I mean, I live in Madrid, guys. Nobody stops, everybody's in a hurry. This is not about being some kind of guru or having answers, but we rarely stop and ask ourselves, is this really what I want, or is it just what I learned that I should want? Now, at the same time, adults have responsibilities. They have rents to pay, they have families, they have obligations. And here's where the conflict really appears, right? Because we live in a world where there's more opportunities than ever, but also more pressure to choose correctly. I mean, the internet plays a huge role in this, right? So you see on one hand, it democratizes success. You see people building companies, changing careers, reinventing themselves. And on the other hand, it creates quite a dangerous idea. And it's that if you work hard enough, you can achieve anything. I mean, that sounds amazing, but it's not entirely true, right? Hard work gives you a peace of mind. It lets you say, I tried. But the real outcome of things probably depends on many other factors, such as talent, context, timing, I mean, even luck, right? And not everybody's good at everything, and we can accept it. I think, in fact, it's what makes life interesting. Now, there is something that we rarely say out loud, and it's that most life-changing decisions are made with incomplete information. You don't know what a career is until you're in it. You don't know how living abroad is until you leave. And you don't know what entrepreneurship is until you try. But yet we do expect 17 and 18-year-old kids to choose their future as if they had some kind of crystal ball. Now, going back to my friend, you remember the one who was good at everything? Well, he went to France, to one of the most demanding classes preparatoires in the world, where he was studying for 14 hours a day, surrounded by people that were outstandingly smart, just like him. And then 6 months later, he quit. Not because he wasn't smart enough, he was. Not because he wasn't capable, now he's back. He also was, but because the reality of what he found there had nothing to do with what he had imagined. Again, I'll come back to the story later. Now, we live in a world with very clear, so we often confuse two terms, success and coherence. We think, if I change my mind, I failed. If I pivot, I wasted time. And if I doubt, I'm weak. The ironic part of this is that we love stories about people that reinvent themselves. I mean, we listen to podcasts about them, we watch documentaries about them, and we read about them. But then when it's our turn to change directions, suddenly that's not inspiring anymore. That's just terrifying. But that is not weakness. And probably it's more towards awareness. I think that the more we know, the more we realize what we don't know. So going back to my friend, the one who was good at everything, but then he quit after 6 months, well, he went to London to start a more normal degree, so to say. And later he did a master's. And today, he's on his way to France to work in exactly the same place that he had imagined for the first time. So the catch of this is that he didn't quit on his ambitions, he just changed the route to make it there. I think the message of this is that maybe the real risk is not just choosing the wrong path, but maybe never questioning why we are on the one we are on. Now, as for myself, at some point in my life, I started asking myself a different question. Suddenly, I wasn't asking myself, what do I want to do? But it was more of, what am I optimizing for, right? What am I optimizing my time for? Am I optimizing my time for money, for status, for my family and friends to accept me, for freedom, for impact? I mean, none of these are wrong, huh? The problem is that we optimize for something. Something that we didn't necessarily consciously choose. Now, at some point, as for myself, I've been following quite a structured path. First of all, I had a very structured education. I came, and here I have my parents to thank for bringing me to this amazing city, Maastricht, to study. And then I went into a corporate environment, to a role that, at least on paper, makes so much sense. And it gave me skills that I'm gonna carry for my whole life. It gives me discipline, it gives me structure, and it's very great. But at some point in my life, I started feeling like I needed to feel a different impact. To feel that what I do matters to someone beyond this great Excel sheet that will turn into a great deal in the news tomorrow. And that's what led me to Robin, my entrepreneurial venture. Not because it's safer, it isn't. Not because it's easier, also isn't. But because it's more aligned and also funnier with who I am and what I want to do. Now, when I talk about these big corporate environments with big companies, I talk about the world of the big four, right? So those companies where everything has a process, everything has a meeting, and usually a PowerPoint. Those places where you get that important email at 10 p.m. and you don't know how, but you still reply. Now, make no mistake, I'm not criticizing corporate life. I think it requires skills that not everybody has or just doesn't want to have. And it plays quite a valuable role in today's society as it is. So that's why I don't think that most of the people that are there and are also unhappy, they are like that because they choose wrong. I think maybe they are like that because they never get to choose at all. So maybe the real question is a bit deeper. Maybe the real question isn't just what do you want to be, but the real question is what kind of problems you want to solve, what kind of person you want to be, and who do you want to become along the way. Because, and you don't need a perfect answer, huh? You don't need to know exactly the answer, because life doesn't happen at the extremes, it happens at the transitions, in that in between we're so often scared of. So there's something that I'd love you guys to take out from today, is that don't always choose what is right, but try to choose from time to time what truly feels right. And then also, from time to time, ask yourselves, with honesty, am I doing what I really wanted to do, or am I just doing what I've been told that I should do? And if you find yourself completely lost within that question and you don't know the answer, then congratulations, you're probably exactly where you need to be. Thank you very much.